Good afternoon. If we could please ask the audience and uniformed personnel to stand for the arrival of the honorees and the entry of the colors. Honorees, forward, march. Please remain standing for the national anthem. Uniformed personnel, present arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Order, arms. Uniformed personnel may uncover and all may take their seats.
Good afternoon. I'm Timothy Maffo-Judd, the commander of the 2nd District, and I'd like to welcome everybody to the City of Cleveland Police Awards ceremony. First off, I'd like to acknowledge Officer Kate Medwood for a great rendition of our national anthem. We can give her a round of applause, please. I'd like to call upon Cleveland Division of Police Chaplain Rabbi Ari Wolf to offer our invocation.
Let us pray. Almighty God, merciful Father, as we open this award ceremony, we lift our hearts to you to express our gratitude for the warm spirit of caring, friendship, and fellowship that marks the tenor of this occasion. We ask for your blessings upon the Honorable Mayor, the Safety Director, the Chief of Police, and all the other honorable guests gathered here today. Almighty God, continue to shine your warmth and grace on this community, its public servants, for their dedication in making our city a better and safer place for all your children. Cause them to remember that in ministering and helping your children in time of need, they are participating in godly mission, and as such are partners in the divine plan. May they be blessed with an unlimited reserve of strength, good health, and much success to be able to pursue their sacred endeavors. May all of us be privileged to live in health and happiness and a world at peace. God bless you all, and let us say amen.
Thank you, Rabbi. Please welcome the Honorable Mayor Justin M. Bibb, who would like to say a few words to our honorees. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you. Good afternoon. I think it's appropriate for us just to give our command staff, the chief, and every single member of our Department of Police a big round of applause for an amazing year in 2024. You know, every year we try to make our police department one of the best departments in the country. And last year we had a lot of great success, from the fact that we had over 134 new cadets join our ranks, the most since 2019. Citywide, we saw a 26% reduction in homicides, and we made hundreds of arrests, got hundreds of guns off the street, and that couldn't have been done without your hard work. So again, great job in 2024. I know there's more to come as well. And while we're celebrating the great impact that you all have made last year, let's give your family members and friends a round of applause as well for their support and encouragement over the years. As a son of a cop, I know it takes a village. And so as you reflect on your awards and we celebrate your achievement, I want to just say this. The work you do and the reason why you won the award are going to win today is because deep down inside of you are the values of courage, bravery, and sacrifice. Those aren't things you can be taught. Those are God-given gifts. And we're so happy to have you a part of our great division of police. So again, congratulations, and let's keep up the great work. Congrats once again. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this time, I'd like to ask Councilman Michael Polensek to say a few words.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor, Director Drummond, Chief Todd, the command staff, Rabbi. It's my pleasure to be here representing the Council President. In my 12 consecutive terms in public office, I have to say, as I've said repeatedly, some of the finest people I've ever had the opportunity to engage with and meet and work with have been members of the Cleveland Division of Police. So I'm here to say, on behalf of my colleagues, on behalf of the Council President, thank you. Thank you for a job well done. From the day I walked into City Hall, I've been appreciative of the men and women who protect us daily. And I've often said again, you're a part of the thin blue line. And that's the reality that we're dealing with today in our country and our society. So I am greatly appreciative to the work that you have done, that you will continue to do on behalf of our citizens to represent the best that we can be. A department that is transparent, that is professionally run, and that has all the goals to make our city the best it can be. So again, thank you all, and again to the mayor, to the command staff and all, thank you. We have to continue the positive, the real positive impact we're having on dealing with crime and public safety in this city. So again, God bless all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Now I'd like to welcome Chief Director of Public Safety, Dornat Drummond, who'd like to say a few words.
Good afternoon. There we go. On behalf of the men and women of the Department of Public Safety, I wanted to thank and congratulate all of our award recipients today. I want to take a moment to thank Mayor Bibb for your leadership and your support for the brave men in the Division of Police and women, sorry. I also want to take a moment to thank the various city officials who are here and the dignitaries who are joining us in support of our officers and citizens, as well as the families sitting behind our officers. Your support allows these men and women to do the necessary and impactful work in our communities. This is not my first award ceremony, and the job of policing has changed much over the years since I've been with the Division of Police. But one thing's for certain, your dedication and your commitment speaks volume. And it's for that reason that we're here to celebrate you. Day in and day out, the individuals seated before you do a great job, making our communities safe, delivering the best services our communities depend on. It's easy to lose sight of the impact you have on the city. There may be times where your hard work, your professionalism, your efforts feel unrewarded. At 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, It can be hard to feel like the work in front of you is truly impactful. Well, I want to leave you with a quote from Coretta Scott King. Quote, the greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate actions of its members. End quote. I'm so proud of the men and women I see in front of me. You make Cleveland a great community that it is, and I'm honored to serve with you as your director. Congratulations and thank you.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Chief of Police Dorothy Todd to say a few words.
Good afternoon, everyone. So it's an honor to stand before you today as we celebrate the dedication, bravery, and commitment of the men and women of the Division of Police. Before we begin, I want to extend my gratitude to Mayor Bibb, Safety Director Drummond, City Council, and my command staff for their unwavering support of public safety and the officers who serve this great city. Thank you to the family and friends who took the time to help us honor the courage and commitment of our men and women who are here today. Policing is a profession of service. It requires a regular person to face danger and uncertainty every day while performing at the highest standard. The caring and commitment of our men and women shines through in all they do. They do this work not for the awards, but knowing they are making a difference and helping to keep the community safe. Today is a day we have the opportunity to recognize and thank some of our members for their extraordinary acts of bravery, outstanding leadership, and steadfast commitment to public safety. To the men and women of the Division of Police, especially those here today, your service and sacrifice does not go unnoticed. You inspire me and those around you with your commitment and selfless acts. I am grateful to each of you. On behalf of the entire command staff, thank you for your dedication. Congratulations to each and every one of you, and let's continue to serve with honor, integrity, and pride. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. We will be presenting the following honors tonight. The Citizen Award plaque is awarded to civilians who distinguish themselves through performance of a heroic act involving significant personal risk. The Chief's Commendation is a special letter of recognition issued to officers for acts that represent the officer's diligence to duty and furthering law enforcement ideals. Police officers who are awarded 5 Chiefs or Commander's letters during a 2-year period are eligible to receive consideration for the Special Commendation Award. The Special Commendation Award is awarded to division personnel who distinguish themselves by improving an administrative or tactical procedure within the Division of Police, fostering a successful community affairs program, or performing a valuable police service that demonstrates exceptional diligence or perseverance. Officers who are awarded 5 Special Commendation Awards are eligible to receive consideration for the Distinguished Service Medal. The Distinguished Service Medal is awarded to officers who demonstrate a high degree of personal initiative, perform substantially beyond standard requirements in an exemplary manner, contribute significantly to the achievement of law enforcement goals, or consistently perform at the highest levels of law enforcement excellence as indicated by a unique faithfulness to duty. The Medal of Heroism is awarded to police officers who demonstrate extraordinary bravery or act in an exemplary and extraordinary manner while at substantial risk of personal harm. So the moment we've been waiting for. Honorees, when I call your name, there's a set of stairs to my left, your right. You'll walk up the stairs, receive your award, and take a photograph. Mr. Mayor, Director, and Chief, will Brian Rackus please come forward? Mr. Brian Rackus will be receiving the Citizens Award plaque. On the evening of March 24th, 2023, Brian Rackus was driving home on the highway after a night out with his wife and children. Mr. Rackus saw a burning vehicle with people still inside and immediately pulled over. As he approached the burning vehicle, the male in the vehicle seemed to be in shock and was unable to respond to the cries of his wife and children. Without hesitation, Mr. Rackus got the wife and children out of the vehicle safely and then returned to get their dog. He set them on the concrete barrier as dozens of cars whizzed by without stopping, despite the 10-foot flames coming out of the hood of the vehicle. Mr. Rackus saved a family's life, including their pet, that night. Dozens of other drivers passed the scene without stopping. Mr. Rackus did not. He bravely risked his own life to save the life of another family. Mr. Brian Rackus, it's our privilege to honor you with this award. Lieutenant Christopher Mobley, Lieutenant Dave Skloretz, Sergeant Jose Garcia, Sergeant Keith Haven, Sergeant Michael McNeely, and Sergeant Michael Schroeder, please come forward. Lieutenants Mobley and Skloretz and Sergeants Garcia, Haven, McNeely, and Schroeder will be receiving the Distinguished Service Medal. From August 26, 2022 through September 8, 2022, the Cleveland Division of Police conducted Operation Clean Sweep, a large ongoing warrant sweep conducted with our local, state, and federal partners. The mission of the operation was to identify, locate, and apprehend dangerous violent offenders with active warrants related to crimes of violence considered within the city of Cleveland. Lieutenant Dave Skloretz of the NICE Unit, Lieutenant Christopher Mobley of the Gang Impact Unit, Sergeant Michael McNeely of the Gang Cartel Narcotics and Laundering Task Force, Sergeant Jose Garcia of the Real-Time Crime Center, Sergeant Michael Schroeder of the 4th District's Violent Crime Reduction Team, and Sergeant Keith Haven of the Fugitive Unit all directly contributed to the success of the operation. These members led and directed their officers' efforts to complete comprehensive intelligence research, warrant tracking, and meticulous record-keeping in order to assist the officers to safely apprehend dangerous warranted offenders. The collaborative effort took on a significant amount of additional responsibility while these leaders simultaneously balanced the day-to-day operations of their respective units. The operation resulted in 50 wanted fugitives. Lieutenants Mobley and Skloretz and Sergeants Garcia, Haven, McNeely, and Schroeder, it's our privilege to honor you with these awards. Will Officer Ricardo Holt Santiago please come forward? Officer Holt Santiago will be receiving the Distinguished Service Medal. Beginning in November 2022, the 2nd District began experiencing a drastic increase in auto thefts. Patrol Officer Ricardo Holt Santiago took it upon himself to investigate further into these thefts. He canvassed the areas where cars were being stolen and where they were being recovered to locate witnesses and any camera footage. Officer Holt Santiago cultivated confidential informants in the neighborhood that were able to help identify suspects. In January 2023, a juvenile was arrested for an attempted vehicle theft. Officer Holt Santiago assisted with the interview of the juvenile, who admitted to 9 additional crimes. With the assistance of the 2nd District Detective Unit, Officer Holt Santiago was able to obtain a search warrant for the juvenile's cell phone and social media accounts, linking the juvenile to 30 stolen autos. Due to the volume of crimes, the juvenile was kept in the detention center and the number of auto thefts in the area plummeted. Officer Holt Santiago shown a high degree of initiative in investigating stolen autos and has performed above expectations. He brought an end to a crime hotspot and has taken on the bulk of the auto theft cases in the 2nd District. Officer Holt Santiago, it is our privilege to honor you with this award. Will Detective Nathan Goebel and Detective Matthew Zone please come forward? Detectives Goebel and Zone will be receiving the Distinguished Service Medal. During 2022, Detective Nathan Goebel and Detective Matthew Zone collaborated to take down large elements of 2 rival criminal gangs in Cleveland's 4th District. Detective Goebel utilized ShotSpider, NIBIN, the Real-Time Crime Center, and cell data mapping to track, locate, and piece together his investigation into the gang for a number of violent crimes, including felonious assault, aggravated burglary, weapons trafficking, and more. Detective Zone utilized social media exploitation, gang investigation techniques, surveillance, and other long-term intelligence gathering techniques to bring defendants of a drug trafficking organization to justice. This investigation showcased the best of what can be done at the Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Force. combining federal, state, and local law enforcement in a co-located setting that fostered communication and collaboration. Detective Goebel and Detective Zone's investigation into the criminal gangs led to an 107-count indictment against 6 defendants and a federal indictment of the drug trafficking gang where proceedings were ongoing. Officers, it is our privilege to honor you with these awards. Will Sergeant Brian Sochek please come forward? Sergeant Sochek will be receiving the Distinguished Service Medal. On May 5th, 2023, Sergeant Brian Sochek, who at the time was a patrol officer, and his partner responded to a domestic dispute where 2 young children were barricaded in a house with an armed, heavily intoxicated, suicidal male. Over the course of time and at 2 different locations, Sergeant Sochek was able to build and keep a rapport with the male through phone calls, FaceTime, and locked doors. Despite facing multiple instances of resistance and hostility from the male, he maintained a constant communication, tirelessly attempting to de-escalate the situation. Sergeant Sochek's ability to establish a rapport with the male played a critical role in diffusing a possible hostage situation and ensured a peaceful resolution. Sergeant Sochek's unwavering determination to save the lives of the children involved and prevent harm to the male is commendable, reflecting his commitment to public safety, unwavering resolve, and remarkable ability to connect with individuals in crisis. Sergeant Sochek, it's our privilege to honor you with this award. Will Detective Tim Hannon please come forward? Detective Hannon will be receiving the Distinguished Service Medal. On May 17, 2023, Detective Timothy Hannon's dedication led to the conviction of a dangerous criminal responsible for a violent 2-month crime spree in the city of Cleveland. The male who committed crimes including weapons violations, arson, kidnapping, violent robberies, and multiple horrific sexual assaults was sentenced to life in prison with the first chance of parole after 376.5 years. Recognizing the severity of the case, Detective Hannon took charge of the investigation, working tirelessly to follow every lead. He sacrificed personal time and put his full effort into solving the case, ultimately identifying the perpetrator and securing his arrest. Detective Hannon's commitment didn't end there. He remained involved throughout the trial, ensuring the criminal was convicted on all 34 felony charges. His dedication played a crucial role in making Cleveland a safer place for its residents. Detective Hannon, it's our privilege to honor you with this award. Will Sergeant Trevor Majid please come forward? Sergeant Majid will be receiving the Distinguished Service Medal. On May 29, 2023, a male robbed the local store at gunpoint and fled in a silver Kia. Sergeant Majid, who at the time was a detective, was able to obtain photos of the vehicle and identified a small bumper sticker and outlines of old decals. Using this information, the detective used online resources and was able to obtain a match with the license plate number. Detectives contacted the registered owner, who stated he gave the car to his sister's boyfriend. This male fit the description from the robbery. Detectives were able to locate a current address for the male and discovered a call for service was placed 3 hours prior to the robbery at that location. Detectives reviewed the responding officer's body camera footage and observed the male wearing the same clothing from the robbery, and that Kia matching the vehicle used was towed from that location. Detectives returned with a search warrant where they confiscated several firearms, including the one used in the robbery and the clothing worn. The male was placed under arrest and later confessed to the robbery and multiple others throughout the city. Sergeant Majid's actions led to the arrest of his violent offender, seizure of crucial evidence, and a confession to multiple violent crimes, and ultimately removed a violent offender from our city's neighborhoods. Detective Jerome Krakowski was also endowed this award but couldn't make it tonight. Sergeant Majid and Detective Krakowski, it's our privilege to honor you with these awards. Will Officers Darian Laska, Jonathan Sanchez, Lizette Lopez, Timothy McKenzie, Wanda Wright, and Joshua Michalowski please come forward? Officers Laska, Sanchez, Lopez, McKenzie, Wright, and Michalowski will be receiving the Distinguished Service Medal. On July 9, 2023, an unknown suspect began firing in rapid succession at a crowd of people walking in the street at the Warehouse District. The local bars were closing and several hundred people were on the street. Patrol Officers Laska, McKenzie, and Sergeant Michalowski were patrolling the area, and Officers Jonathan Sanchez, Wanda Wright, and Lizette Lopez were blocking intersections when dispatch broadcast a shooting. Bullets could be heard whizzing past officers. The officers immediately responded to the area to assist with determining the level of injuries to victims and suspect information, all while not knowing if the unknown suspect still presented a threat. All officers involved rendered aid to victims while Sergeant Michalowski requested the necessary resources, including mutual aid. He determined the crime scene boundaries, preserved evidence, and maintained scene security. Once the victims were stable, and with EMS, Officers Laska and McKenzie used their relationships with local businesses they had cultivated for years to find what video evidence was available and what it showed. These officers ran into a dangerous, rapidly evolving, and extremely chaotic incident, performed first aid, identified and secured the crime scene, and gathered video evidence. Officers, it's our privilege to honor you with these awards. Will Sergeant Joseph Sedlak and Detectives Delonzo Goshen and Michael Shade please come forward? Sergeant Sedlak will be receiving the Distinguished Service Medal, and Detectives Goshen and Shade will be receiving a Chief's Commendation. On July 22nd, 2023, members of the NICE unit responded to a call about a suspect wanted for a felonious assault stabbing. Upon arriving at the scene, Sergeant Joe Sedlak observed the suspect riding a bicycle. He chose not to immediately engage, but to follow at a distance while notifying responding officers. As the suspect became aware of the police presence, he turned into a driveway. Sergeant Sedlak repositioned his vehicle to intercept him while providing time for backup officers to arrive. The suspect, not noticing Sergeant Sedlak's approach, began to move again. Sergeant Sedlak used his vehicle as a barrier and gave verbal commands for the suspect to stop, which the suspect ignored. Sergeant Sedlak exited his vehicle and again ordered the suspect to stop and dismount the bicycle. The suspect complied by dropping the bicycle, but then fled on foot. While chasing the suspect, Sergeant Sedlak continued to give commands to stop. As Detectives Goshen and Shade arrived, the male pulled a 3.5-inch knife from his pocket and swung it aggressively towards Sergeant Sedlak. In response, Sergeant Sedlak was able to grab the suspect's arm, preventing further assault. Detectives Goshen and Shade assisted without hesitation, demonstrating restraint, and using minimal force, controlled the suspect, taking him to the ground, while maintaining control of the situation and safely preventing the assault. Sergeant Sedlak and Detectives Goshen and Shade, it's our privilege to honor you with these awards. Will Officers Rashawn Sears Fowler and Jalen Smith please come forward? Officers Sears, Fowler, and Smith will be receiving the Distinguished Service Medal. Not here today? Okay, they couldn't make it, but congratulations, we'll read theirs anyway. On August 11th, 2023, Patrol Officers Rashawn Sears Fowler and Jalen Smith responded to a homicide scene that quickly escalated into chaos, compounded by a large unruly crowd, poor lighting, and heavy rain. As the crowd grew increasingly aggressive, pushing and punching officers, Officers Sears Fowler and Officer Smith worked to preserve evidence and maintain control. Despite the tension, they briefed the sergeant on the situation, directed detectives to a key evidence, and gathered witness information, including from anonymous witnesses who were reluctant to speak in front of such a potentially violent crowd. Through his interviews, Officer Sears Fowler identified a man returning to the scene who was involved in the incident, leading to the identification of a suspect. As the crowd turned violent towards two men they believed were involved in the homicide, the officers shielded the suspects and, at great personal risk, escorted them to safety. According to their sergeant, the officers' professionalism and diligence were critical in identifying the suspect and preventing the situation from escalating into a riot. Officers, it's our privilege to honor you with these awards. Will Detective Michael Williams please come forward? Detective Williams will be receiving the Distinguished Service Medal. On August 12, 2023, Detective Michael Williams was assigned to a festival event at a local park. Detective Williams and his partner were monitoring the festival when they noticed a 2-year-old child was in distress. They learned from the child's parents that he was choking on a piece of candy. His partner notified dispatch and requested EMS to respond while Detective Williams assisted the parents in helping the child. The parents did not seem to perceive the gravity of what was occurring, but Detective Williams recognized the seriousness of the situation and began quickly giving back blows and first aid on the small child for approximately 25 seconds until the candy dislodged from the child's throat and his airway was restored. EMS arrived a short time later to further care for the child, but the critical obstruction had already been cleared. Detective Williams spared no time in taking control of the scene and acted quickly to perform life-saving techniques to rescue this child from a potentially fatal choking incident. Detective Williams, it's our privilege to honor you with this award. Will Officer Jessica Wolski please come forward? Officer Wolski will be receiving the Distinguished Service Medal. On September 4th, 2023, patrol officers Officer Jessica Wolski and Chad Collins responded to a call for a pickup truck that had crashed into an apartment building. Upon their arrival, they found the pickup truck had crashed into the bedroom of a sleeping 7-year-old boy. The young boy was pinned underneath the hot truck engine and buried by the rubble of the brick wall the truck had crashed through. The boy was conscious and screaming out in pain and fear. Officer Collins began removing rubble that was covering the boy and obstructing the view of where his body was. Officer Wolski, along with fire personnel, assisted to safely remove the child. The potential for the truck to further collapse on top of officers was a real possibility. The officers performed in an exemplary and extraordinary manner, and their actions saved valuable time and the resource of this boy while putting themselves at substantial risk of personal harm. Officer Wolski, it's our privilege to honor you with this award. Will Sergeant Michael Keene please come forward? Sergeant Keene will be receiving the Distinguished Service Medal. On October 8th, 2023, Sergeant Michael Keene was assisting with an accident on the highway. Sergeant Keene was then notified by a frantic motorist that there was a vehicle going westbound in the eastbound lanes on the highway. He was able to intercept the vehicle where he stopped and activated his overhead lights and siren to attempt to stop the vehicle. The vehicle did not stop and he requested other units' assistance. While units were en route, he passed the suspect auto in an attempt to warn oncoming traffic of the wrong-way driver, putting himself in danger of serious injury. Assisting units were able to stop the wrong-way driver, and at his direction were able to get all the vehicle's safety off the highway and out of harm's way. Sarge, it's our privilege to honor you with this award. Will Sergeant Robert Norman and Detectives Michael Fallon, Michael Ratty, Robert Jorgensen, and Ryan McNamara please come forward? Sergeant Norman and Detectives Fallon, Ratty, Jorgensen, and McNamara will be receiving the Distinguished Service Medal. On October 11th, 2023, Detectives Fallon, Jorgensen, McNamara, and Ratty, Kevin Krug, and Sergeant Robert Norman executed a search warrant after conducting undercover surveillance and controlled narcotic buys. Upon executing the warrant with SWAT assistance, one target was arrested outside with a loaded handgun and 1,000 grams of cocaine. While surrounding the home, another suspect pointed a firearm at a detective before retreating inside. The SWAT team detained the primary suspect and discovered a child inside with a large quantity of narcotics. The 1st District's Vice Unit search recovered over 15 pounds of methamphetamine, cocaine, and heroin, including nearly 6,000 grams of meth, along with over $46,000 in cash and drug manufacturing equipment. The total street value of the drugs was estimated at $500,000. The Vice Unit's hard work and dedication resulted in the arrest and conviction of 2 high-level drug traffickers and the removal of drugs from the streets of our city. Officers, it's our privilege to honor you with these awards.
Good job, Ryan.
Will Officers Justin Fisher, Mason Sedlak, Raul Mayano, Sebastian Ulango please come forward? Officers Fisher, Sedlak, Moyano, and Luongo will be receiving the Distinguished Service Medal. On October 29, 2023, Patrol Officers Fisher, Luongo, Moyano, and Mason Sedlak responded to a call for kidnapping in progress. Dispatch informed responding officers that armed males had kidnapped a 17-year-old female and put her in a blue minivan. The caller began following the van and relayed it to dispatch. As officers arrived in the area, they observed a van turn down a street and pull into a driveway. When officers approached, they observed the driver toss a firearm out of the car. The driver began to exit the vehicle, and officers issued orders to the male and detained him without further incident. Officers then approached the vehicle to detain the other males when they observed the female victim in the passenger seat of the vehicle, who appeared to be horrified. The victim was safely removed from the vehicle, and shortly after, the remaining 3 suspects were arrested. After interviewing the victim, officers firmly believe she was at a high risk for human trafficking. Officers, it's our privilege to honor you with these awards. Lieutenant Ed Soko, Sergeants Andre Bays and Randy Murphy, Detectives Brian Cibolic, Sean Policy, Dan McCandless, and Officers Braden Jarrell, James English III, Evan Tremaglio, and Michael Guillen, please come forward. Sergeant Bays, Detective Cibolic, and Officers Jarrell and English will be receiving the Distinguished Service Medal. Detectives Dan McCandless and Policy and Officers Tremaglio and Guillen will be receiving the Special Commendation Award, and Lieutenant Soko and Sergeant Murphy will be receiving the Chief's Commendation Award. On December 11, 2023, a visitor to Cleveland was robbed of his vehicle at gunpoint. Due to the quick response of Officers Guillen and Tremaglio, the relay of information, Detectives Sean Policy and Dan McCandless were able to locate the vehicle. However, it fled the scene. Lieutenant Ed Soko was monitoring radio, then observed the vehicle driving on the wrong side of the road at a high rate of speed. With the assistance of the Police Aviation Unit, Sergeants Randy Murphy and Andre Bays, Detective Brian Cibolic, and Officers Braden Jarrell and James English III were able to create a perimeter and follow the vehicle based on updates from the helicopter. The vehicle eventually stopped, and the 5 suspects exited the vehicle and fled on foot. The officers detained 4 of the suspects. Detectives Sean Policy and Dan McCandless were able to recover the victims' items and return them. During further investigation, the suspects confessed to being involved in at least 3 other serious crimes. Due to these officers' unwavering commitment to duty, the victim's vehicle and belongings were returned. This case highlights the critical importance of teamwork, quick thinking, and dedication in law enforcement. Officers, it's our privilege to honor you with these awards. Will Officers Shazay Henderson and Stephanie Martinez please come forward? Officers Henderson and Martinez will be receiving the Distinguished Service Medal. On December 16, 2023, Patrol Officers Henderson and Martinez were involved in the pursuit and capture of a suspect involved in 2 felonious assault shootings. The pursuit lasted approximately 40 minutes, and throughout the pursuit, Officer Henderson remained calm and communicated with all the needed information to her partner. Officer Martinez provided dispatch with clear, concise, and pertinent information. She ensured constant communication was maintained both internally and externally with neighboring departments, which allowed a collaborative effort in keeping the pursuit safe and effective. The suspect eventually stopped his vehicle and ran on foot carrying a bag. Officers were able to quickly apprehend the suspect, and a loaded handgun was located inside the bag. The firearm was confirmed through testing to be involved in both previous shootings. Officer Henderson and Martinez showed exceptional perseverance in protecting the citizens of Cleveland by ensuring a safe vehicle pursuit, the apprehension of a dangerous suspect, and the seizure of a firearm used in 2 shootings. Officers, it's our privilege to honor you with these awards. Will Officers Michael Valdez and Mariah Rodriguez come forward? Officer Valdez will be receiving the Medal of Heroism, and Officer Rodriguez will be receiving the Distinguished Service Medal. On February 3rd, 2023, Patrol Officer Michael Valdez and Patrol Officer Mariah Rodriguez responded to a call for a male walking on the highway. The officers located the male walking on a concrete barrier along I-90. As they approached, the male jumped down and began to run. Both officers attempted to speak with the male, who then made statements that alerted officers that the male was likely in crisis. As the officers continued to assist the male, he ran across the median into oncoming traffic and was nearly struck twice. Officer Valdez bravely pursued the male across the highway, dodging traffic, and was able to catch up with him. As the male struggled against Officer Valdez, attempting to run back into traffic, Officer Valdez had held the male and was able to safely get him on the ground. Officer Valdez continued to hold the struggling male as Officer Rodriguez struggled to safely restrain the male. Once additional cars arrived, the male was transported to a local hospital for treatment. Officer Valdez and Officer Rodriguez courageously risked their own safety to prevent a tragedy and save a man's life. This highlights their extraordinary heroism and commitment to the safety and well-being of the citizens we serve. Officers, it's our privilege to honor you with these awards. Will Officers Dan Sherlock, Jacob Wojcik, and Joshua Dorner please come forward? Officers Sherlock, Wojcik, and Dorner will be receiving the Medal of Heroism. On December 27, 2023, officers responded to a call for a violent male threatening a female with a firearm. As patrol officers Daniel Sherlock and Jacob Wojcik arrived on scene, they observed the victim's car backing out of the driveway with the suspect holding a firearm to the victim's head. Officers attempted to stop the vehicle. The vehicle momentarily stopped and the victim tried to escape, but the suspect pulled her back in the vehicle. Officers continued to pursue the vehicle as Patrol Officer Dorner joined the assist. The vehicle eventually stopped and officers heard a gunshot. Realizing that the suspect was armed and in the vicinity of innocent bystanders, Officer Dorner and Wojcik courageously exited from a position of cover to clear the vehicle. Utilizing proper tactics and disregard for his personal safety, the vehicle was cleared. Without hesitation, Officer Dorner utilized his first aid kit and provided emergency medical aid to the suspect, who sustained a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Officer Sherlock attended to the victim as she ran from the vehicle towards him for safety. These officers' brave actions and devotion to duty, in spite of great personal risk, ensured the victim's safety as well as the community. Officers, it's our privilege to honor you with these awards. Command staff, can you please stand and cover? I'd ask that all of tonight's recipients please stand. A hand salute is a sign of honor and respect. At this time, I'll lead us in demonstrating our respect for all these gallant officers and brave citizens. Command staff, Houghton, hoot! He's in, hup! Hold out, hup! You may be seated and uncovered. Thank you. Thank you, award recipients. You may be seated. One more time, can we have a round of applause for all the awards recipients tonight? Thank you. Really well done. I'd like to ask Cleveland Police Chaplain Reverend Larry Harris to lead us in our closing prayer.
I'm thankful unto God to just be here in the presence of our mayor and all of the dignitaries of this great city, our city of Cleveland, and then to honor those who have done a great job. And you've done it extremely, extremely well. I would like to just read something. So often in our programs, we look over some great nuggets and they're not brought up, but they're there for us to read. The police officer's prayer. Lord, I ask for courage, courage to face and conquer my own fears, courage to take me where others will not go. I ask for strength, strength of body to protect others, and strength of spirit to lead others. I ask for dedication to my job and to do it well, dedication to my community and keep it safe. Give me, Lord, concern for others who trust me, and compassion for those who need me. And please, Lord, through it all, be at my side. Once again, we give great praise to those of you that were honored today, for you have served and protected Cleveland well. Now unto him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly, above all that we ask, think, or can creatively imagine, to him who keeps us in the palm of his hand, be the glory, majesty, dominion, and power. Officers, job well done.
Thank you, Reverend Harris. Before we leave, I just wanted to make it, the award recipients today, there was a camera out front with a backdrop. If you didn't receive your photo, please go out and do that before you leave. One final thought before we go. As we reflect on the heroic and selfless acts that have been shared with us this evening, it's important to remember that for each story recounted, there are countless others that went unrecognized. Many of these acts were carried out by the very same men and women we have gathered to honor today. The individuals before you represent just a fraction of the dedicated and professional members to our local law enforcement community who faithfully serve every day and day in and day out to make our city a better place to live, work, and visit. It's a privilege to be in the presence of so many fine men and women. For those of you who parked in the Willard Garage this afternoon, we've arranged a reduced parking fee of $3, thanks to the generosity of Director Frank Williams and the Department of Public Works. On behalf of Chief Director Dornat Drummond, to take advantage of this special rate, please see the officers at the entrance of the room. They'll raise their hand. Or not. They'll be over there somewhere. To take advantage of this special rate, please see the officers and obtain a pre-validated parking pass. Once again, I want to express our heartfelt gratitude for your presence tonight and for taking the time to join us in honoring these deserving award recipients. This concludes the award ceremony. Thank you all and have a great afternoon.